Using themes of the landscape, I have created a body of work based on research and documentation I have done over the past 2 months being in India and also my time in Delhi. My paintings are based upon the encroachment of the urban environment into the natural. It's something that troubles me, that the natural environment, the deserts and the forests are being stripped out and taken over, spread into by the cities. These ideas I'm trying to convey in a series of abstract paintings based on themes of the landscape, using colours from the city and also colours from the places I've been to before, the deserts of Rajasthan and the north, in the forests of Himachal. But that kind of removal of myself is kind of integral to the way the paint works, because I can have so much control and then it does what it wants.
Le ciel c'est comme un voile, c'est immobile le soir. On n'entend pas le bruit.
So the first time I walked into the gallery, I thought it was wonderful to have a space like this right in the middle of the city. I haven't seen any galleries like this in CP with such a vast amount of space. You know, for example, all the glass walls are exciting. I really thought it would be fun to come and work here sometime in the future. So first I thought I would do projections on the wall. Then I did a few sketches of maps. That's how this idea started formulating in my head. The idea of everyday traveling from home to Artsai, and how every time I needed to go somewhere in the city, Hira would have to draw a map for me.
Pas de destination, ni d'intention, totale absence de joie, de peine.
I'm making a sculpture which will talk about all the construction which is happening in Delhi right now, and it's affecting the people of Delhi. Although this development is beneficial to people of Delhi, it has also caused hurdles in their day-to-day life. I'm showing them transforming along with the city, so the structures are changing and people's bodies are becoming part of it. So I'm combining structures, machinery and humans.
Le ciel c'est comme un voile, c'est immobile le soir. On a
Produce a kind of bedazzlement which we see in the metros like Delhi and Bombay. It will give the feeling of the temples where we find peace and calm in the village, and when it comes to metros, we feel the bedazzlement, lights all over the city. You will not find the darkness, the original darkness, you never find it. And it also relates to the idea that the lights means today there is not only noise pollution, light pollution is also there. So which is affecting the plants, animals and lives. So I'm just working out with that.
This home came from my home only. I have seen so many tiffs in all the family. So I wanted that my home should be perfect. The Tana Bana I'm using Walk-in Weft should be perfect. And before this I was working with a swing machine. So swing machine, that inspiration came from my machine. Every time we stitch we stitch our life, no? Every step we want it to be perfect.
On n'entend pas le bruit de tes pas sur le sol. Pas de destination. L'inconscience est le rêve. Tu viens vers tu sais quoi. Unique la direction.
Just the impression of the monuments I'm taking. Then I will work and combine with my work what I'm doing there in gallery. It's all about presence and absence, about preservation. It's about taking a good care. I'm making paper sculptures, like some suggestions from monumental architecture, and I'm trying to juxtapose them with the you can say modern architecture or urban things which are dominating, like, so I'm going to place them in a such environment that it will like create a tension between the urban architecture and the monumental, like, historical elements.
वैसे मेरा अभी जो काम है, जब जो कर रहा हूँ, मैं एक माइग्रेशन के जो होते हैं ना, माइग्रेटिव लोग जो होते हैं, जो भी आए के शहर में रह रहे हैं, उनके ऊपर कर रहा हूँ काम बेसिकली। सो मैं खुद एक छोटे से शहर से आके फिर अभी दिल्ली में सर्वाइव कर रहा हूँ। तो ये जो सर्वाइवनेस है अंदर और एक कुछ ड्रीम्स हैं, कुछ करना है, कुछ झेल रहे हैं, तो ये जो चीज़ है, जैसे जो डेली लाइफ में जो चीज़ होता है, तो इससे हमारे बीच में जो भावना है, उसी को बेसिकली मैं दिखाया हूँ। तो वो एक सैंडविच मैन है, जो एक 2 एक्रेलिक शीट के अंदर कुछ इमेज है, उसके अंदर कुछ वर्क है। 2 एक्रेलिक शीट का मतलब ये है कि एक सोसाइटी जो, यानी एक यहाँ का सोसाइटी और एक सीट वहाँ का सोसाइटी।
Le ciel c'est comme un voile, c'est immobile le soir. On n'entend pas le bruit de tes pas sur le sol. Pas de destination, ni même d'intention. Totale absence de joie.
As you can see, I'm sort of collecting material that I'm finding here in India and combining it with things that I brought with me. And I'm making a series of drawings and collages right now that are pretty small in scale. The way that I work is more materials based, so I'm thinking about a lot of different things, that kind of the systems that go into why certain things come together, and it's always about a sort of effort to make order out of all of the things that surround us, whether it's images or physical objects or garbage or decoration materials, which I'm finding a lot of here at the bazaars and stuff. I'm also really interested. I mean, a lot of my work comes out of abstraction, so it's abstract work, but I like kind of when abstract and real sort of start to go together, like when things that are actually abstract start to look real, and things that are actually real start to look abstract.
Architects start with a utopian idea of what a city could be or what a place could be. But then once it gets inhabited, when people sort of start owning this space, when they start using its space, so it it starts getting this layers or stains or the character changes. So far I've just done this with like modern architecture of Chandigarh, but I thought the colonial architecture of Delhi is something that really stands for a particular era. And it's also interesting in Delhi how you see what becomes heritage and what doesn't, because you see a lot of these crumbling layers of architecture, Mughal architecture, or even later architecture, it's sort of crumbling. But then as a nation, we sort of selectively choose certain sites to become the heritage sites, which we keep restoring. But there's always this tension between, what to restore it as versus what the pressures of people are, how they want to inhabit it, how they want to change it.
I start to read Veda. It's very inconscious. It's not a lecture, intellectuals, something that I need. And I started to explore a sort of other landscape, religious landscape. And I wonder if I can compare old language like Sanskrit or Greek or Latin, like a ruin, because language is a raw material. When you meet somebody, you start to talk. So all the language, and in this case, a language about spirit. Veda is in Sanskrit, so it's an old book. Can be compared like an ruin. So it's very long history, because le romantisme pendant la fin, le romantisme allemand, ruin is like aesthetical situation also. So it's just a question.
The idea is to compose a very large mural-like drawing, and it touches on various points or various ideas. Number one is the replication of the auto, which is this image right here, and then it's repeated in a symmetrical way on the other side of the wall. The idea behind depicting the auto is to basically try to take it apart and put it back together as a way of understanding it. And I've often used spaces or objects or machinery or vehicles to do this. And it's just a way for me to develop a personal connection with the object itself. In this case, I chose an auto because I'm in India for the first time, and it's a novel shape and it's a novel object that you encounter on a daily basis.
it is mountain. Means it's limit for the imagination for the audience. Just only the volume, how to making a volume. I saw around the market on the street or around the studio. Just people is living to making some protector from the rain, making a rope or some plastic sheet. But just it's, I get the hint from them. But I never using like this color string or local material, like this string or related local place. Never. But this time I'm trying to using color string. Just I'm thinking about my work is the chance to see another world. でも最後には美術みたいに見えるものを作ってるんです。
Si c'est bien ou si c'est mal, comme un fantôme qui glisse.
There's something about the pure physicality of the thread, sort of transforming from the school and then coalescing into this network. And even and with these little thread pieces, the words kind of exist as these really intense areas of accumulation of thread that are then in this more dispersed network of all the little threads that are from breaking it off. So there's a process of stitch, break, which is related to the sort of moment of finding the text. So it's like a little moment of coalescing of something coalesce, something coming together, or like hitting a kind of crystallization or an internal resonance. So there is this kind of, there is that, and then the thread is this long sort of process of translation, so there's all these iterations that the phrase goes through. I mean, there is something about the kind of relationship between the material world and language. So I've been thinking a lot about the phrase, we create and are created by language, right? So we create language, but we also are created by language.
Qui n'a plus de sexe entre la réalité.
Before coming to Delhi, I didn't realize how much construction was going on, but the thoughts were about working with the gardens and figuring out if one can maybe make illusionary garden spaces or fake garden spaces. But coming to Delhi it just seemed like the city didn't exist, but these gardens were there, and in that sense my project had to change. Then what happened is that because I was driving around, that I started to notice how Delhi is very, very linear. And it's unlike most cities which are vertically higher and you kind of get a glimpse into the buildings and everything. In Delhi this was not possible, so it was inaccessible, it was full of barricades, whether they were these big long walls, black gates, etc., etc. It was just full of barricades. And the temporary barricades that were there. And so accessibility thoughts were there. At the same time I was also thinking about how the street names work, that they are all historical figures and how they feature in my life, and how the names sounded really familiar, but I wasn't able to make a connection with them. So it was like a walk-through history book, but I didn't relate to it either. So then, and at the same time, the experience at Religare and of Delhi and the place that I'm staying at, it was incredible amounts of questions, instructions, other observations, like so many things coming together. So then my project became about the instructions, the questions, the observations that I've had that while I've been here. So it's 1 month of questions, etc.